Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you've leaned on, people, comfort, security, can be taken away in a second. What would you have left? That moment right there when the noise fades, when the support disappears, when the world strips you down to nothing, that is when you discover whether you are strong or fragile. Most people never prepare for that moment. They think strength is about muscles, or loud voices, or pretending they're tough. But real strength, the kind that carries you through storms, heartbreak, rejection, failure, that strength lives in your mind. And here's the truth, the world will test you. Life will push you to the edge. People will doubt you, betray you, walk away from you. Circumstances will challenge you in ways you can't even predict. And when that happens, the question is simple. Will you collapse under the weight, or will you rise? Mental strength is the invisible armor you carry into battle every single day. It's the shield that protects you when the world tries to break you. It's the voice inside that says, keep going, even when everything else tells you to stop. And here's the part most people never understand. You don't become strong in the easy times. You become strong when life gets hard, when your heart gets heavy, when the nights feel endless. That's when your character is forged. That's when you find out what you're truly made of. So if you've ever felt like life was too much, if you've ever wondered why the weight keeps piling up on your shoulders, if you've ever questioned whether you could make it through, then this message is for you. Because I'm going to show you that you are capable of more than you think, that your limits are not where you believe they are, that the strength you've been searching for is already inside of you, waiting to be unlocked. And once you learn how to control your mind, once you train it, once you master it, you become unstoppable. Nothing and no one will be able to break you. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you have, but it can also be the most dangerous enemy you face. Every choice you make, every emotion you feel, every action you take starts in your head. That's why the people who learn to control their minds rise above the chaos, while those who let their minds control them stay trapped in fear, doubt, and weakness. If you don't command your thoughts will command you. And the truth is, most people are not living life. They are simply reacting to it. Think about it. How often do you let your mood be dictated by the smallest things? Someone looks at you the wrong way, and suddenly your whole day is ruined. One negative comment, and you spiral into self-doubt. One setback, and you convince yourself it's over. That's what happens when your mind controls you instead of the other way around. It takes the smallest trigger and builds it into a storm that blinds you. You become a prisoner of your own thinking. Mental strength begins when you decide to flip that script. When you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You can't always control what happens around you, but you can always control what happens inside you. The world will throw stress, insults, failures, and disappointments at you, but you get to decide how to process them. You get to choose whether they weaken you or strengthen you. That choice is the foundation of becoming mentally unbreakable. Here's something most people never realize. Your mind will believe whatever you tell it over and over again. If you keep repeating that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not capable enough, your brain will build that as truth. And then, without even realizing it, you will live your life according to a story that was never real in the first place. That's why negative self-talk is so dangerous. It creates a prison inside your own head. But the opposite is also true. If you tell yourself you are resilient, capable, and powerful, your brain begins to operate with that reality. You start to carry yourself differently, act differently, respond differently. You shift from being controlled by fear to being fueled by courage. The problem is that people think controlling the mind means silencing all negative thoughts forever. That's impossible. Doubts, fears, insecurities, they will always show up. Controlling your mind doesn't mean eliminating them. It means refusing to let them drive the car. You can hear the voice of fear, but you don't have to obey it. You can feel doubt creep in, but you don't have to surrender to it. It's about taking back the steering wheel and reminding yourself that you, not your emotions, decide the direction of your life. Think of your mind like a wild horse. Left untrained, It will run in every direction, crashing into things, dragging you where you don't want to go. But when you take the time to train it, to discipline it, that same wild force becomes your greatest strength. It carries you forward with speed and power. Training your mind is the same. It requires patience, effort, and consistency. But once you do it, you can handle anything. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the thoughts that dominate your day. How many of them are empowering and how many are weakening you? Most people are shocked to realize how much time they spend feeding their brains with fear, anger, and comparison. Once you notice this, you can interrupt the cycle. You can pause and ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Does it move me closer to the person I want to become or further away? That awareness alone can change everything. The second step is discipline. Just like training a muscle, you have to condition your mind daily. It's not about one big motivational moment. It's about small, repeated choices. Wake up and set the tone for your day instead of letting the day set it for you. Replace I can't with I will try. Replace this is too hard with this is my opportunity to grow. Train yourself to redirect negative thoughts into productive ones. The more you do this, the stronger your mental discipline becomes. And finally, you need to learn the power of focus. Weak minds are scattered. They chase every distraction, every temptation, every excuse. Strong minds are centered. They know what matters, and they refuse to give energy to what doesn't. If you want to control your mind, you must starve the distractions and feed the purpose. That means protecting your attention, cutting out negativity, and refusing to let trivial things drain your energy. Every time you choose calm over chaos, discipline over impulse, growth over comfort, you are proving to yourself that you are in control. And once you experience that, life changes. Because now, no matter what happens around you, you can stay steady within. The insults don't crush you, the failures don't break you, and the storms don't drown you. You become the kind of person who moves through life with quiet power. Because you know your strength doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. The truth is, the difference between the strongest people and the weakest people isn't talent, money, or luck. It's mental control. It's the ability to master the mind instead of being mastered by it. And that ability is available to anyone who is willing to train it, including you. So don't let your mind be a prison. Don't let it be the enemy that sabotages your potential. Train it, discipline it, command it, because once you control your mind, you control your life. And when you control your life, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can break you. One of the hardest truths to accept is that the world will never consistently give you the approval you're looking for. People change their opinions. One day they cheer for you, the next day they criticize you. One moment they celebrate your success, the next they envy it. If your strength depends on the validation of others, then your strength is not real. It's borrowed. And borrowed strength will always collapse when it's taken away. Most people live like prisoners of approval. They measure their worth by likes, comments, attention, or recognition. They ask themselves, am I enough? And then wait for the world to answer. But here's the truth. The world is not honest. The world will always project its insecurities, fears, and judgments onto you. If you base your value on that, you will always be chasing something you can never truly catch. You will become addicted to applause, and the silence will terrify you. When you detach from external validation, you take your power back. You stop handing over the keys to your self-worth. You stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you're good enough, smart enough, strong enough. You begin to live from a place of internal certainty, not external approval. That is freedom. That is strength. Think about it. How many dreams die because someone was afraid of being judged? How many people play small because they didn't want to be laughed at? How many lives are wasted because someone wanted to fit in instead of standing out? External validation is a trap. It convinces you that being accepted is more important than being authentic. It teaches you to wear masks, to hide your truth, to silence your voice just to keep the crowd happy. But here's the problem. No matter what you do, the crowd will never be satisfied. There will always be someone who disapproves, someone who criticizes, someone who doubts. You have to decide whose voice matters more, theirs or your own. Because the moment you place their opinions above your inner truth, you have already surrendered. Mental strength requires that you anchor your identity in something unshakable, your own standards, your own values, your own vision. When you build yourself on that foundation, it doesn't matter who applauds or who rejects you. You stand firm. This doesn't mean you stop listening to feedback. Wisdom is being able to hear advice without letting it define you. But you must separate constructive guidance from destructive criticism. One comes from a place of helping you grow, the other from a place of insecurity and control. If you can't tell the difference, you'll spend your life chasing approval from people who don't even understand your journey. Here's the reality. People often reject what they don't understand. If you think differently, they'll call you crazy. If you aim higher, they'll call you arrogant. If you choose discipline over comfort, they'll call you obsessed. And yet, those very choices are the ones that lead to greatness. History remembers the people who broke away from the crowd, not the ones who blended in. So why would you waste your strength trying to be accepted by people who don't even have the courage to be themselves? The strongest people are those who can walk alone. They don't collapse when the room is silent. They don't change their direction because someone doesn't approve. They know who they are, what they believe, and where they're going. They've learned the art of self-approval. They understand that the applause of others is temporary, but self-respect lasts forever. It takes courage to live this way, because when you detach from external validation, you will lose people. You will confuse people. You will disappoint people, but you must remember, their disappointment is not your burden. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to live true to yourself, even if it means standing alone. Because the cost of betraying yourself is far greater than the cost of being misunderstood. Detaching from validation also teaches you emotional control. When you no longer rely on praise, you stop being destroyed by criticism. When you no longer crave approval, you stop fearing rejection. You level out. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster of highs and lows. Because your worth no longer depends on other people's reactions. You become steady, calm, and grounded. That stability is mental strength in its purest form. Imagine how much freer you'd be if you didn't care about being liked. Imagine how much more you'd achieve if you weren't afraid of looking foolish. Imagine how powerful you'd feel if your self-worth was so secure that no insult, no rejection, no silence could shake you. That's what happens when you detach from external validation. You step into a level of freedom most people never experience. But this doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. It takes catching yourself every time you're about to post something just for attention. Every time you hold back your opinion just to keep the peace. Every time you adjust yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. It takes asking yourself, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for them? And if the answer is for them, you need to stop, realign, and choose yourself again. The world will keep testing you. People will judge you whether you rise or whether you fall. That part will never change. But what can change is the way you respond. You don't need the world to validate you. You don't need the crowd to clap for you. You don't need approval to be worthy. What you need is the courage to validate yourself, the discipline to stand by your values, and the strength to keep walking even when no one walks with you. When you master that, you become untouchable. Opinions will pass like the wind, but you'll remain rooted. Rejections will sting for a moment, but they won't scar you. Silence will surround you, but it won't suffocate you, because your strength won't come from the outside anymore. It will live inside you, unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable. That is what it means to detach from external validation. That is how you become truly free. And freedom, real freedom, is the foundation of mental strength. Pain is a language every human being understands. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe. Pain will find you. It comes in many forms: heartbreak, betrayal, failure, loss, disappointment. And the first instinct we have when it arrives is to run from it, to avoid it, to numb it. But here's the truth most people never realize. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a teacher. Pain is a tool. Pain is the fire that forges your strength. If you choose to face it instead of flee from it. Think about the strongest people you know. They didn't become who they are because life was easy for them. They became strong because life tested them, broke them, stretched them, and forced them to rise. Every scar has a story, and every story is proof that they survive. Strength does not grow in comfort. It grows in the dark nights, the lonely roads, the moments when you're pushed to your breaking point and still choose to keep going. Most people see pain as a stop sign. They think, this is too much. I can't handle it. I'll never recover. They give up because they believe pain is permanent. But pain is not permanent. It's a season. What makes it powerful is the meaning you attach to it. If you decide that your pain is punishment, it will crush you. But if you decide that your pain is preparation, it will transform you. The same fire that burns can also forge. The same weight that burdens can also build. It all depends on how you choose to respond. When life hurts you, you have two choices. You can let it harden your heart, or you can let it sharpen your spirit. You can become bitter or you can become better. And the difference between the two is in your perspective. Every time you're betrayed, you can decide to close off and live in fear, or you can decide to use that betrayal as fuel to become wiser, stronger, more independent. Every time you fail, you can see yourself as worthless, or you can see failure as proof that you dared to try, an opportunity to learn. Every time you're rejected, you can convince yourself you're not enough, or you can realize that rejection redirected you towards something better. Turning pain into power doesn't mean pretending the pain doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean smiling through every storm and acting like you're unshaken. It means being honest with your struggle, but refusing to let it own you. It means acknowledging the wound, but choosing not to bleed out your future because of it. Pain will always knock on your door, but you don't have to let it move into your house. You use it, you learn from it, and you keep moving. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs come through the deepest wounds. The person who lost everything and rebuilt their life understands resilience in a way comfort never could. The person who was betrayed and learned to trust themselves instead of others walks with a strength that no one can take. The person who fell 100 times and still stood up the 101st time becomes unshakable. That power only comes from pain. It cannot be manufactured in comfort zones. The danger is when people get stuck in their suffering. They replay the betrayal, relive the failure, rehearse the rejection. They build their identity around their wounds and forget that they were never meant to stay there. Pain was meant to shape you, not to define you. You cannot heal if you keep scratching the scar open. You cannot rise if you keep staring at the ground you fell on. At some point, you must decide, my pain will not be my prison. My pain will be my power. And that decision is not easy. It requires courage to stand back up when you've been knocked down. It requires discipline to keep moving when your heart is heavy. It requires faith to believe that what hurt you can also grow you. But once you make that choice, pain becomes your greatest ally. It toughens your skin. It deepens your perspective. It teaches you empathy, resilience, patience, and grit. Pain becomes the very reason you succeed. Look at any champion, any leader, any person who has achieved something great. Behind their triumph, you will always find a story of pain. Because the truth is, victories built without struggle are fragile. But victories born from suffering are unshakable. Pain gives you a depth that comfort never can. It forces you to grow in ways success never will. The world teaches you to avoid pain at all costs. But the reality is, avoiding pain makes you weaker. Every time you run from it, you teach your mind that discomfort is dangerous. But every time you face it, you prove to yourself that you can endure, that you can adapt, that you can rise. Pain is the gym for your spirit. Just like muscles need resistance to grow, your character needs struggle to develop. Without resistance, you stay soft. With resistance, you become unbreakable. So the next time pain finds you, don't just ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? How can I use this? How can I grow from this? That shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, pain is not a curse, it's a gift. A painful gift, but one that holds the seeds of strength. Your pain can make you a victim, or it can make you a warrior. It can hold you down, or it can lift you higher. The choice is yours. But remember this, the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The tallest trees grow through the strongest storms, and the most powerful people you'll ever meet are not the ones who had it easy, but the ones who turned their pain into power. You are no different. You may be hurting right now. You may feel broken, exhausted, worn out, but inside that pain is the fuel that can take you further than you've ever gone. Don't waste it. Don't let it destroy you. Use it, channel it, turn it into the very power that carries you forward. Because when you learn how to turn pain into power, you stop fearing life. You stop avoiding challenges. You stop breaking under pressure, and you begin to see that nothing, no heartbreak, no betrayal, no failure has the power to stop you. Not anymore. Chaos has a way of exposing who we really are. It strips away the image we try to project and reveals the truth underneath. When everything is calm, anyone can appear confident. When life is predictable, anyone can pretend to be strong. But the real test of mental strength is not how you act when the skies are clear. It's how you stand when the storm hits. Chaos is inevitable. It comes in the form of problems at work, conflict in relationships, financial struggles, unexpected loss, or sudden betrayal. You can't always control when it arrives, but you can always control how you respond to it. And that's where true strength is revealed. Most people collapse under chaos because they let panic lead the way. The mind starts racing, emotions spiral, fear takes over. Suddenly the situation feels bigger than it is, and they become prisoners of their reactions. They say things they regret, make decisions they shouldn't, and allow the storm to toss them wherever it wants. But those who have trained their minds understand something vital. Calm is power. In chaos, calm is the rarest and most valuable weapon you can have. Staying calm in chaos doesn't mean you're not affected. It doesn't mean you don't feel the pressure or the fear. It means you've learned to control your breathing when everyone else is gasping for air. It means you've learned to slow down your thoughts when everyone else is drowning in them. It means you've trained yourself to respond with clarity, not react with panic. Calm is not weakness, it is controlled strength. And the person who can remain calm in chaos is always the one who leads. Think about it, in every crisis, people naturally look to the one who isn't panicking, the one who is steady, composed, focused. Why? Because calm creates trust. Chaos spreads fear, but calm spreads stability. When you carry calm into chaos, you influence the environment instead of letting the environment influence you. That is mental mastery at its finest. The problem is that calm is not natural when you're under fire. Your body wants to react. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your thoughts scatter. The instinct is to do something, anything, just to feel like you're in control. But control doesn't come from frantic action. It comes from deliberate stillness. The strongest people are not the ones who fight the hardest when chaos erupts. They are the ones who pause, observe, and then act with precision. They understand that sometimes waiting, breathing, and thinking clearly is the most powerful move you can make. Training yourself to stay calm in chaos begins with preparation. You cannot wait for the storm to arrive before you decide how to handle it. Just like soldiers train in times of peace to prepare for war, you must train your mind daily to handle pressure. That training comes through discipline, whether it's pushing through challenges, practicing patience, or learning how to control your emotions in small everyday situations. Every time you stay calm in traffic instead of exploding, every time you respond to criticism with composure instead of defensiveness, every time you choose focus over distraction, you are building the muscle of calm. And when real chaos hits, that muscle will hold you steady. There is also a mental shift you must make. Instead of seeing chaos as the enemy, see it as an opportunity. Chaos reveals strengths you didn't know you had. Chaos teaches you resilience, adaptability, and leadership. The storms of life are not just obstacles, they are classrooms. They force you to learn lessons that comfort never could. If you can approach chaos with that perspective, it loses some of its power to control you. It becomes a test, not a tragedy. Staying calm doesn't mean you ignore reality. It doesn't mean you deny the pain, the difficulty, or the danger. It means you acknowledge it without letting it consume you. You accept the storm, but you refuse to be tossed around by it. You plant your feet, steady your breath, and remind yourself, this is not the end. This is just another test. And I am bigger than this moment. That mindset keeps you grounded when the ground itself feels like it's shaking. Some people confuse calm with passivity. They think staying calm means doing nothing. But calm is not passive, it's strategic. When you are calm, you can think clearly. You can see the bigger picture. You can identify the best move instead of making a desperate move. Calm gives you control over time because instead of rushing blindly, you act with intention. In chaos, that difference can change everything. And here's something powerful. Chaos will always end. No storm lasts forever. No crisis stays permanent. But the way you carry yourself in that storm will be remembered long after it's gone. People remember how you stood when everything was falling apart. They remember whether you panicked or persevered, whether you broke or stayed unshakable. Staying calm in chaos doesn't just protect your mind, it defines your legacy. Imagine two people facing the same storm. One loses control, lashes out, and makes rash decisions. The other breathes, stays steady, and carefully navigates their way through. Which one comes out stronger? Which one earns respect? Which one grows through the chaos instead of being broken by it? That's the difference calm makes. You have to remind yourself that no matter how chaotic life gets, there is always one thing you can control: yourself. You can't always control the outcome. You can't always control the timing, but you can always control your reaction. And when you control that, you carry an unshakable advantage, because while chaos screams, you remain silent. While chaos destroys, you keep building. While chaos tries to break you, you stand tall. The world doesn't need more people who crumble under pressure. It needs more people who can walk into the fire and not flinch. It needs more people who can bring peace where there is panic, stability where there is fear, and strength where there is weakness. That person can be you, but it starts with mastering your calm. So the next time chaos erupts, don't let it own you. Don't let it dictate your reactions. Stop, breathe, steady yourself, remind yourself that storms end, but strength lasts. Then move forward with clarity and courage. That is how you stay calm in chaos. That is how you prove that no matter how violent the storm, you will not be shaken. Discipline is the backbone of mental strength. It is the quiet, consistent force that shapes your mind, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. People often look for big breakthroughs, dramatic moments of change, or bursts of inspiration to transform their lives. But real transformation doesn't come from those rare sparks. It comes from the daily grind, the choices you make when no one is watching, the small, consistent actions that add up over time. Discipline is what separates those who only dream from those who actually achieve. Think about it. Talent will give you a head start. Motivation will push you for a while, but without discipline, both will fade. Talent without discipline creates wasted potential. Motivation without discipline burns out when things get hard. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation disappears. It is the ability to say, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. That single mindset is what builds mental toughness. The truth is, discipline is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It doesn't give you instant rewards. It's waking up earlier than you want to. It's doing the workout when your body aches. It's studying when you'd rather scroll on your phone. It's saying no to temptations and distractions that look easy in the moment but cost you long-term progress. Discipline is uncomfortable, but it is the very discomfort that makes you stronger. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you prove to yourself that your mind controls your body, not the other way around. When you commit to daily discipline, you build trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your confidence. Most people lack confidence not because they aren't capable, but because they keep breaking their own word. They say they'll start, but they don't. They say they'll stop, but they can't. Deep down, they don't trust themselves. Discipline rebuilds that trust. It tells your mind, when I decide something, I follow through. And when you truly believe that about yourself, you become unstoppable. Discipline is also what creates structure in the middle of chaos. Life will throw unpredictable storms at you, but your disciplined habits become your anchor. For example, someone who has trained themselves to exercise daily, journal daily, or practice stillness daily will not be easily thrown off by stress. They may still feel the weight of chaos, but their habits keep them grounded. They don't collapse because their discipline has built resilience into their foundation. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting until they feel ready. They wait for motivation to strike, for the perfect timing, for life to align. But discipline doesn't wait. Discipline acts regardless of circumstances. If you want to be mentally strong, you must stop depending on feelings and start depending on commitment. Feelings change like the weather, but discipline is steady like the sun rising every morning. If you train yourself to act based on commitment instead of emotion, nothing can stop you. Consider the difference between those who succeed and those who quit. Both face challenges, both feel tired, both encounter setbacks. The difference is that the disciplined person pushes through anyway. They keep showing up day after day, even when no one is clapping, even when the results aren't visible yet. And eventually their persistence pays off, because discipline compounds. What feels small today, one page read, one workout completed, 1 hour of focused work, becomes massive growth over months and years. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum builds greatness. But here's the reality: discipline is not natural. No one is born with it. It has to be trained, like a muscle. And just like training your body, training discipline hurts at first. The first time you wake up earlier, it feels brutal. The first time you stick to a routine, your mind resists. But over time, your threshold grows. What was once hard becomes your new normal. And then you push beyond that. That's how mental strength expands. There's also an important truth. Discipline doesn't take away freedom, it creates it. People often think that discipline feels like being trapped or restricted, but the opposite is true. Discipline frees you from being a slave to your impulses, your laziness, and your distraction. It gives you control over your life. The person without discipline may feel free in the moment, doing whatever they want. But in reality, they're enslaved by their lack of self-control. The disciplined person sacrifices short-term comfort, but gains long-term freedom. Discipline also protects your energy. When you have daily structure, you don't waste time making endless decisions. You already know what you're committed to, so your energy goes into execution instead of debating with yourself. That's why disciplined people achieve more with less stress. They've removed the unnecessary noise from their lives. Every great achievement in history has discipline at its core. Athletes train daily, even when exhausted. Leaders study and prepare consistently. Writers show up to write, even when the words don't come easily. Success is not built on occasional bursts of effort. It's built on daily commitment. And the same applies to mental strength. If you want to be unshakable, you must practice discipline in the small things every single day. So ask yourself, what are the daily habits you need to build? What areas of your life need structure? Start small, but be consistent. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for persistence. If you miss a day, don't collapse. Get back up and keep moving. Discipline is not about never failing. It's about refusing to quit. And remember this, discipline is contagious. The more you practice it in one area, the more it spreads to others. If you discipline yourself to work out, you'll likely eat better. If you discipline yourself to focus at work, you'll likely improve in relationships because you've trained patience and attention. Discipline sharpens your entire life, not just one piece of it. At the end of the day, discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. It's saying, I care about my future enough to do what's hard today. It's refusing to live as a victim of laziness or excuses. It's building a foundation so solid that no matter what life throws at you, you won't crumble. If you want to be mentally strong, don't wait for motivation. Don't chase comfort. Commit to daily discipline and watch how it transforms not only your strength, but your entire life. Strength of the mind isn't built in one day, and it isn't proven when life is easy. It's built brick by brick in the quiet moments of discipline, in the storms you refuse to be broken by, in the pain you choose to turn into fuel, and in the chaos where you choose calm over panic. Mental strength is not about being perfect. It's about refusing to quit. It's about taking control of your thoughts before they control you, standing firm when others waver, and holding on to your vision even when no one else sees it. The world will test you. People will doubt you. Life will try to break you. But if you master your mind, nothing on the outside can defeat you. You will stand unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. Not because you never faced challenges, but because you faced them and came out stronger every single time. So from this moment forward, make a decision. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more living by feelings. Commit to being disciplined. Commit to being calm in the storm. Commit to being stronger than the pain. And most importantly, commit to owning your mind. Because when you own your mind, you own your life. Remember this, storms will pass, pain will fade, but the strength you build will stay with you forever. Stay disciplined, stay focused, stay unbreakable, because the strongest weapon you will ever have is the strength of your own mind.